He was about 25, 5 feet 11, with light brown collar-length hair.
Somebody must know something. I'm pretty sure somebody around there knows something. And until somebody comes forward and says who they are. Well, everybody's at risk. And I want them caught. I desperately want them caught.
Well, Sally Crook, just to put the date of this robbery into context, it was March the 15th, which I think was the day before the Cheltenham Festival, which suggests that perhaps more people than usual would have been in the area.
That's right. A lot of people come early for the Cheltenham Festival, which starts on the Tuesday, and the area where the robbery took place is on the main route into Cheltenham, so people in fact may not know that they saw something that could in fact help us.
Well, jog their memories, yes. Now then, what about the cars that we saw? We saw them being bought. Give me a little bit more information about them, the beige one.
That's right. The person who bought the beige car is middle-aged, around 45 perhaps, with an Irish accent and very scruffy in appearance.
And the red Vauxhall?
Also very scruffy, middle-aged if not older, and this person possibly had a Birmingham accent.
Now, bearing in mind these were bought on the Saturday and the robbery occurred on the Monday, also you want to know what happened to those cars in between times?
Very much so. They may well have been parked outside somebody's house, somewhere where these cars aren't normally. And if that's the case, please phone us so we can see if it will provide us some links as to who committed these crimes.
Now, the third car that was used in this wasn't obtained locally, was it?
No, the dark BMW was in fact stolen from the Ely area of Cardiff at the end of January. Now, that car may have been in Cardiff, it may have travelled around, and in fact we don't know where it was from the end of January right through to the middle of March.
Bearing in mind that the number plates you see there are false.
Yes, they are, and the owner of the real BMW bearing that name, that number plate, has been ruled out and lives in the Bath area.
And just another interesting fact is I think that one of the wheel trims was missing from the car, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, and on a smart car that might be quite distinctive to somebody.
Now, what about the men seen in the cars on the day of the robbery? Do you have any more information on them?
Well, we believe there was 4 of them, and we believe they were all white. We do, however, have an e-fit of one of them. This man was the front seat passenger of the Cavalier as it left the scene, and he was tall, with glasses, wearing a light-coloured top and had some form of head covering or a cap.
Now, you found some other clothes that may relate to that incident in particular. What did you find out about those?
Yes, we found various items of clothing. There's a coat with a red collar with, in fact, a tear down the back. And that was found with various other items down the country lane between Boddington and Staverton Village, about 4 miles out of Cheltenham. It's a very quiet lane, and we'd appeal for anybody who saw anybody dumping those clothes to come forward.
Now, these are callous men. I mean, they were shooting quite indiscriminately, not knowing who was going to be in the shop, who they were going to be hurting. There is a reward here, isn't there, an incentive for people to call in?
There is. The Post Office have put up a reward, a substantial reward, leading to the arrest and subsequent conviction of these men. And as you say, they're very callous. They did shoot, and we're hoping to catch them before they actually injure somebody.
Absolutely. Sally Crook, thank you very much indeed. Well, as we said, there is a substantial reward, and you'll do everyone a favour if you can help with this one. 0500 600 600, or the local police on 01242 243 333. That's Cheltenham 243 333.
Please be patient, though. The phones are under siege at the moment. On the Brixton nail bomb, we've really had some fascinating calls. As I said earlier, we've got people who were in the area, a couple of very interesting calls, which I really can't give you anything more about at the moment. We've had about 60 calls so far on the Swedish tourist who was killed. We've had someone who can name 5 people who do this sort of thing regularly, trying to grab handbags from people on London buses. We've had someone with court connections who says she knows exactly this person is a dead ringer. She says on the Southampton serial rapes, 4 names, one intriguing one, a call I took myself a few moments ago from someone outside the area. Jackie, you've been taking calls on the football hooligans, at least people wanted for offences at football ground.
Yeah, we've had about 6 names and addresses suggested so far, at the last count anyway, but it's going up as we speak. In fact, I would really like to appeal to any of the genuine fans who were at that match on that day. Please ring in if you know who any of these men are. We want to make the football safe for all of them.
OK, thanks very much indeed. Now, 3 months ago, a foreign student reported a sexual assault on a tube train in East London. The attacker got on the train at Upminster Bridge near the end of the district line. After the assault, he got off at Hornchurch Station, and this man is one of the few passengers to get off there that Saturday night. He then took the next train. Here he is at East Ham. Who is he? He's mid-20s and about 6 foot with short brown hair. 0500 600 600, please. Or British Transport Police direct on 0171 387 0354. That's 0171 387 0354.
5 months ago, a 15-year-old girl was walking from her home in Nelson, Lancashire. She was grabbed in the street and raped. Detectives are keen to find this man, known as Mohammed Shabira. He's from Pakistan and speaks Urdu better than English. In fact, he's only been in the country a short while. He recently applied for political asylum, but then vanished. He's about 30 and reasonably tall and stocky. We need to trace Mohammed Shabira urgently. 0500 600 600 or 01282 472 222. That's Burnley 472 222. Now, if Urdu is your first language, there's an Urdu speaker there waiting for your call.
We're also anxious to trace a man in connection with a series of burglaries across the north of England. He's Gary David Warner, though he uses other surnames, including Parsons and Foreman. He's a man known to change his appearance, but what he can't change is that he's 36, 5'9", and has receding hair. Please do look out for him. 0500 600 600, or you can ring the incident room on 0151 632 8668. That's Liverpool 632 8668.
Last November, in an emotional reconstruction, we asked for help to catch a man who'd been molesting children on the borders of Essex and East London. We reported on 3 attacks involving 4 children, one of whom was raped.
He was too traumatised to do anything for himself, and I told him that I was going to wash this man out of his body. Then he'd be my little boy again. That evening, he just laid there like a frightened animal, staring at everybody.
Our appeal created huge public interest and we had over 1,000 calls, but despite that, the man is still at large. Now, it was always suspected that there were other attacks, and tonight one more has been linked to the same offender. It happened 5 years ago at Clay Hall in Ilford. An 11-year-old was threatened with a knife and raped very close to where 2 9-year-old girls were attacked last year. The other assaults have all been close by in Woodford and Hornchurch. So how has this man escaped detection for so long? Now, though many of the witnesses are young, everyone describes common features. At the time, he had ginger-coloured hair, but he could have changed it by now. He's medium build, between 5'6" and 5'10", and is aged between 20 and 40. And he's familiar with the area around what used to be Claybury Hospital. Now, it is a broad description, but Michael Allen here and his team have DNA evidence, so it is very easy for them to eliminate people. Now, if you're local, you may be one of 70,000 homes to have received this leaflet through your door. So the police are pulling out all the stops on this one, and please don't hesitate to ring if you have any suspicions at all. 0500 600 600, or the incident room on 0171 275 4377. That's 0171 275 4377.
Now, this is Leighton Station on London Central Line, and there's an argument going on. It ends with a hideous assault and the victim being continually kicked in the head and face. This man was followed by other passengers who tried to restrain him, but he eventually walked off. He's around 30, 6 foot tall and well dressed with short dark hair. After he left the station, he took a minicab to the Green Man roundabout in Leytonstone. During a mobile phone call, he admitted what he'd done, saying he'd better not go back to Leighton Station in the morning, but would probably get a taxi to Mile End. He also hinted at a good job in the West End. The victim is fortunately slowly recovering. 0500 600 600 or the British Transport Police on 0171 387 0354. That's 0171 387 0354.
If you ever come across Flight Lieutenant David John Cox, you'd better give us a call because he's nothing but a fraud. He was never an officer and was discharged from the RAF in the 1960s after only 5 weeks, and he certainly never reached the dizzy heights of Flight Lieutenant. Police all over the country have been looking for him as he's left an enormous amount of loss and grief in his wake. There's a warrant out for his arrest on 5 charges of blackmail. He's 50, tall at 6'2", thick-set with blue eyes and greying dark brown hair. He has a noticeable Lancashire accent, and his wife is rather distinctive too. She's in her mid-30s and suffers from a condition in which her head leans to one side. They're believed to have a red Opel Kadett with the unusual registration number MIJ83. Now, only 9 days ago, the pair were turned away from a guest house near Durham. Perhaps they're with you tonight. Keep your eyes out for Flight Lieutenant Cox, or whatever he's calling himself, and 0500 600 600, or you can call the local police on 01795 584 111. That's Sheerness 584 111.
Now, an odd crime, not just that it's unusual, it's a weird thing to do anyway. The serious thing about it is that the offender